Good morning, good evening, good mid morning, wherever you are tuning in from. I know a lot of people have qualms with that word, morning. But if you look up the etymology of the word, you will see that it's nothing wrong with using the word morning, morn. Um, and it's actually pronounced differently than the other mourning, mourning. If this is your first time visiting, welcome to the Healing Room Tarot channel. I'm yours truly, Magoon. I'm an instrument for spirit to use as spirit pleases. So you will see me operate in a multitude of gifts, giftings. I never know which one is going to be used until we get to that road, right? Today we're gonna start off as always with cards and conversations with the conversation, and I initially had a different title for this, but it was in the same essence. Um, Even had a different idea, but as I was preparing myself, I realized that the topic that I wanted to discuss was actually a piece of a whole topic. And that topic is, where are we heading? Where are we going? The world has been changing. And if you've been following me, if you have been following me for quite some time, you will understand that a few years ago I talked about how it was time for the underdog to it was time for the underdog to take charge. You would also remember the time when I shared that uh, spirit is wanting a lot of correction to happen. There has been people that were doing things that were not pleasing, and that they needed to apologize, that they needed to correct things, and if they didn't, they would be exposed. And as you can see, there has been a lot of exposures happening. There has been a lot of people winning that people did not think would win. And for others, we're in that space. We haven't seen the win yet, but we're on the road to the win. And that's important because that means there is a shifting in this atmosphere that some people will acknowledge and some people won't. And I can understand why some people wouldn't, because it's that road of uncertainty. We don't know where things is happening. We don't know what is happening. We don't know how things are happening, right? Because one of the things that spirit has taught me and I have lived through is that sometimes when it appears that we are not winning, we are winning. Sometimes a loss is a redirect. And I want to say a few weeks ago, I talked about redirection. And maybe it was come up in another topic, but it was talking about how sometimes whenever we appear to be losing, when we appear to be being stripped of things, we go inside and we have this internal talk, and we freak out because that's our human nature. Our human nature, we have a set of things that we do, and we do them based off of our feelings, our needs, our wants. We do them based off of humanity, right? And sometimes, and let's face it, we've been more connected to our human side than we have our spiritual sides for those who are tapped in. And then there's some of us who we've had the spiritual essence and instances since we were a child, but we didn't have that full understanding of what was taking place because there was nobody to explain that to us. And so, because of that, we weren't for sure until we reached this space, and then we can recall the things that we have been doing since childhood, rather, and we can now understand that these things are pushing us and shaping us in a way that is beyond what the flesh and the natural eye can see and experience. And so today's topic is more so going along of where are we heading. It's imperative for us to understand collectively where is the world heading. Um, there has been a lot of awakenings, and there has been some things that I have talked to my own personal ancestors about, trying to fully understand and engage, like what do these things mean. I have a very strong connection to my ancestors, very strong connection. And I haven't talked to them about some of the things we're going to discuss. I'm just going to be completely honest. But I do welcome them in this space to reveal those things to me, right? Uh, but the history, the truth of it all has always been there. I don't know if I really, really, really have shared my ethnic background, and it's important because and I will share it because in today's world, in today's hot topics. Shout out to Wendy Williams. I hope you're doing well. Um, it is the point of when the truth is being revealed. How can we accept the truth when we have been lied to our whole entire lives? Not me. um, but there is a serious discussion that needs to be held. People need to be held accountable for them. And one of those things, I'll just go ahead and say it. So, with my ethnic background, my family, my paternal line, the line that I would carry most of my genetic code from, not all, most, um, is black. And I'm gonna use the terminologies that has been given to us, that has been taught to us for people's understanding. Um, Black meaning African, Irish, and as they would say, Native American. Well, I'm not going to say as they say. I'm going to say the true Native American. And then it was further expressed that we also have Hispanic um, ancestry, and that was a conversation I had with my father. And so when I take that all in, and I realize that our family, I'm not going to share my last name, but it is very prominent. It's a very prominent family that is known as Melungeon. Excuse me. I always say Melungeon. And what that means is that we hold both the Irish, the African, the native blood um, within our veins. It is what it is. Um, the misconception And one of the things that I have always shared is that a lot of times when people think that people are mixed, they always look for the color. They always say, "Oh, I like," and in growing up, I would hear people say, "Oh, I want a white man, or I want a Hispanic man because I want my kids' hair to be curly and da 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 da." That was conception, and I've heard it from the other side too. They're like, "Oh, I don't want my babies to have pale skin like me. I want them to have color, right?" The thing about that is that when it comes to the genetic code, you don't know what's going to come out. You don't. And so for my cousins and and I will say that my grandmother's hue of blackness um dominated my grandfather's. I'm just gonna put it out there like that. None of us has come out light skinned. All of us have brown skin, this beautiful brown, copper colored skin, and some of us are darker. Some of us are dark. I do have cousins that are of a darker hue, but that also expresses itself where in the Caribbean. That also expresses itself where in different Hispanic countries. Look at India. They're all from India. They're all no. I'm not going to get into the terminology because I don't know too much. I know enough, but the people that are from India, they have different hues. If you look at Africa, they have different hues, um, of brown and copper tones, and so that is very much like my family. But on the other side of the family, everyone else is light skin, is of a lighter skin. Some of them can even pass for white, melange. And it's important because um and I have shared this years ago, but I had a conversation with a friend of mine once, and this had to been around 2011, 2012, and she began to talk about how she was drawn to certain pieces of jewelry, and her grandmother expressed to her that she said, "I didn't realize you like that." And she said, "Yes, I've always loved this. Like, I don't know, it's just something about it that draws me." And she said, "Well, baby, that's our heritage. The women in our family wore this type of jewelry because of our indigenous nature." And I began to share with her, like, that there's certain things that I'm drawn to. I can't explain to you why I'm drawn to it. Um, but before I knew about the Irish ancestry that I carried, I always had this attraction for the Celtic ways. Like the Celtic cross, that's one of the most beautiful things ever to me. And even when I was 17, I worked on an army base, and there was a jeweler there, and I bought a pendant of a Celtic cross. It's in my collection now to this day, and never knew that I had Irish ancestry. I knew that the indigenous side was there. I knew that on my mother's side that we were Cherokee. And then I would later find out that on my father's side, per their knowledge, we were Blackfoot Indian, Blackfoot Cherokee. I'm now finding out that that's not necessarily true. It's something that we were labeled as. Let me put it that way. We were labeled that at one point. Um, and then there were this huge attraction to the Hispanic culture. Could not understand that either. Um, Now I grew up, I had, when I was 5 years of age, I grew up near a family that were from Mexico, but they didn't have that much influence. Um, Me and my friend, I do not remember her name. We were babies. Um, we played often. I remember that, but I never was exposed to the culture. It was just normal child's play. So for me to understand and try to figure out where's all this coming from, and for me to see and later find out that it is my genetic makeup that has been calling to me, that has been impressing upon me to do things. It's like, okay, but where do I learn this? And it's one thing to say, oh, well, the material and the resources are out there. However, comma, whenever you think about everything that we have been taught has been a lie, has been to cover up the truth. It's like, how now then do we decipher what is the truth and what is a lie? Where are we heading? Are we heading back to the truth of the nature? And if we do, then what? That means that there has to be a reshaping, a refashioning of things. That means that how do you, and now I'm getting into my studies, my political space. So we're going to put a tab there, because when we get into the political space, there's a lot of people that says, oh, I don't believe in politics. It's all lies. It's this and this and that and the third, right? The thing about politics is that yes, manipulation happens. We all know that. We all know that manipulation happens. We go through it. If you talk about the dark night of the soul, it is the manipulation of the darkness of within, right? What are the things that we need to correct, right? That means something within us has innately been manipulated to the point it makes us think and act and do things in a certain way. So when we get into the political space and we see the same thing, but it's living outwardly, why now do we say that we do not have to fight for the truth? Why do we now say, oh, well, it's going to do whatever it's going to do? If that was the case, then the dark night of the soul, whenever you're trying to find your liberation from the things that's bound you, that's the equivalency of you saying, oh, well, that's just life. If I'm going to lose everything, then I guess I'll just have to lose everything. And that's you bending to the will of giving up, because at that point you're willing yourself to give up. You're not willing to fight. And with freedom, there has always been a fight for freedom. There's always been a fright, not a fright, a fight for liberation, also freedom. But at this period, the freedom I'm saying now, freedom as in freedom of expression. But when I'm talking about this liberation freedom, I'm talking about the intellectual liberation of your mind. We also known as woke. Thank you, Spirit. So when we are woke, we have to make sure that that wokeness is aligning with what we are seeing in the world, right? I can't say, oh, now I don't want to use that. That would be a far fetched example. When I get to it, I will share. But what I will say is this: whenever you have the freedom to look up things, and then your mind has now been liberated, you are now able to see the dots that have been connected, the crosses, the links that we never saw before. And so whenever we get into the political spaces and these governmental spaces, and we say, oh, well, they're just going to do what they're going to do, so be it. You're giving into the same power that's tried to keep your mind closed. You're giving into that same power that says, we don't want you to be woke. We want you to stay dumb. We want you to stay distracted. We want you to be confused because the narrative of this country, and this is America, has always been on the premise of you do what I tell you, you do what I say, not what you see, not what you saw, not what you learn. You do what I say. Ironically, that was the problem that I always had with math. I didn't like math because if it didn't make sense here, then I couldn't grasp it. If you can't tell me the life application of this mathematical equation, you can't just tell me, oh, this is just the way it is because. Because what? I need to define that. And it wasn't me trying to say, oh, I need something to hold on to that's solid. No, it has to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. Because how can you say if I divide this number, multiply this number, and square root this number, and I get an answer, but then you tell me that that answer is wrong, then explain to me why it's wrong. Explain to me why this number is that it's still equating to is wrong from this answer. And people could not do that. And that's what this law has been, the laws have been in America. It's been those things of we're going to make them up as we go. We're going to make them benefit us. And when I say us, I use the term loosely because it was the limited power of us, right? Because not too many people have power. Let's think about it. Let's go back in history. There was a lot of things that were not happening. There were a lot of conversations that were not happening. There were a lot of silenced voices. And it just wasn't with ethnicities, but it was with gender. So now when we're talking about I was about to say a corporation. So I'm going to go with that. When we're talking about a corporation, that is saying that we are free, but that limited we is a small group of we that are actually free, and everybody else is in bondage. What are we now saying? And then when we talk about how there are certain things that should not be, who how do we have the right to determine what is right for somebody individually? For some things, not for all, but for some things. And it's all for power and control. And I've often said, when you have this innate thought that you have to control something or someone, then that means that it is something wrong with you. That means that there is something missing from the inside of you. So now we then ask, what is missing from the inside of those people who feel like they need to control others, who feel like laws have to be developed to control others? We have to question that. And so when we pick up the tab of who we are individually and how that is expressed outwardly from the ancestors, and now we match this up with laws that try to cover up that narrative, the ancestors are at war with the lie. The ancestors are now lifting off the veil to reveal what was done to them. What were the lies told? What were what laws were made and put into place to silence their voices, to take their land, to take their lives, and to change the history of their bloodlines? There's a lot of bloodshed on this earth. And a lot of people believe that when the dead are dead, they're dead. They don't exist no more. And that is far from the truth. This whole world is spirit first, earth second, meaning there will always be a spiritual presence from the spiritual realm, meaning the people that you no longer see from your day to day are not on the physical plane, but spiritually they are very much here. Spiritually, they are still very much talking. Spiritually, they're getting the vengeance back. There has been a lot of, and yes, I'm going to bring this up, the Nolan Wells case. There's been a lot of assimilations to, uh, I was about to say Medgar Evers. Oh my gosh. Help me. Help me, help me, help me. Hold on. And if you're watching later, you know who I'm talking about. Um, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. I can't believe this. It's like it's almost as if there's this block here, and I will say that this, although I can't, I'm seeing his face, seeing his face. Um, Even in this space, it's showing the message of how things are blocked, how things could be right in front of our face, but yet um I don't want to say is blocked, but again, but it's blocked by way of convincing, blinding, changing the narrative. Oh no, that's not what happened. And they it's like this blockage, right? If you can distract the mind, then the truth, the limitations of what you're saying is like, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. No, they know what they're talking about. It's a lot of things that's going on. Um, and I've had to sit with that in that space. And for certain people, if you're not, again, if you don't know what you're looking at, you're like, oh, well, this person doesn't. This person don't know what they're talking about. They're lying, right? I've been through those situations. But what I was saying, because I found the information, a lot of people have been saying that there's an assimilation to Nolan Wells and Emmett Till's death, the birth dates, when they died, how they died. And I at first I was just like, it is interesting, but you cannot not see it. And I'm not saying that Nolan Wells was murdered. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that that same spirit, that same essence of being is there. The questions of what happens and the why are there. And that someone even put up a picture as to how Nolan's Well's mother looked very similar to Emmett Till's mother, and that was eerie for me because they do look like they could be within the same generation of. But again, when you are liberated and you're able to understand these things, when you're able to start seeing the truth, you realize that the politics of this world is just as important as the politics of the spiritual world. How can we have a justice card that talks about spiritual justice and disregard the physical justice of this world? How can we have the Wheel of Fortune card that says we're going to talk about how the tables are turning in your favor or turning away from someone else's favor if that same ruling doesn't happen and show up in our political spaces? We call that winning the court, winning in the courts, right? We call those court rulings that then become laws. The law of spirit impacts the law of nature, which impacts the laws that we live by. But sometimes the laws that we live by have been created because people are not tapped in spiritually. And so they use the laws for their advantage. And as I stated earlier, for manipulation. The law, the courts are in stone for, are set in stone to help guide us, right? And then in the spiritual law, it's the same thing. Help guide us on how we should be, how we should show up, how we should speak, how we should treat each other. And that is what we call balance. When the scales are off balance, we know it. It causes disruption, it causes anger, it causes fear, it causes pain. So, where are we going? Where are we heading to? What experiences must we see? These are the questions I'm asking Spirit because we need to understand, since there is a shakening happening, since there is this awakening, since there is this presence that is calling to us to do a lot more than what we've been doing. What is this? Thank you, Spirit. And it's important because as we talk about people wakening up, we have to understand that people can't wake up if they have the wrong ideologies in their minds. I've been listening to a book, and I got on this chapter. It's about slavery, but it's about how this one character wanted to be liberated, but her master would not allow her to be liberated, and how he had claims over her life. And we know that that was the case for the history of slavery, right? It was, you're my property, you're not a person. But when you think about it, it's like, how can you lay that much claim over someone else's life? And so now we're in a world and society where things are happening for us, but people are laying claims. You can't have this. Why can't we have this? There's this fear there, and it's understanding that I actually don't want to understand this fear. Maybe that's another lesson, but I do want to know where we're headed. And I have a few cards that are pulled. I've looked at them, but I haven't really looked at them. I don't know like what they are. I just know what the pictures are. I know that the message is going to be clear. Oh, okay. Two cards. Oh, several cards. Oh, sorry. I'm not taking all of these cards. I'm not taking all of these cards. I know that these were there. And I'm still not really looking at the cards. I like what they are. Like, okay. Spirit said to read first, and then I will see once the cards come out. So the first one is the Five of Pentacles. This is the start. The Five of Pentacles. Feeling left out, feeling abandoned, feeling um and I'm saying all of these things in the terms of like being shipwrecked on an island, and you like, oh, nobody knows I'm here. How do we find help? I have nothing. I have no resources. It's that energy that's kind of like the energy that we're in. Some people are just now getting into that energy. That energy of strain is what I'm hearing. But there's a moon here, which lets me know that there's something that we don't see about the struggle. Because let's face it, there are a lot of people struggling right now, a lot of people struggling in many different forms. And then we go from the Five of Pentacles to the Three of Pentacles. Working. What did I say earlier? We don't understand how things are working in our favor, but they are. We go from the Five of Pentacles with the moon, not understanding what's happening, which I would say this Three of Pentacles also has a moon. It's a crescent moon there. Right here. Crescent moon with stars. These things are working in our favor, and they're bringing us closer to our dreams. In fact, there's a double moon there. I just noticed there's two. It's another moon there. So it's things that we don't see that's pushing us to be to the star power, to that, to the things, our hopes and dreams, right? To the things that we've been wanting, the things that we've been waiting for. Um mm, it is that temperance energy as well. It is that energy of we've been waiting, what's happening, what's going to happen. But it's like this is behind the scenes work that we don't see, and it's coming in, right? Hi, Ash. Okay, thank you. And then we go, and this is all I'm just now noticing that it is pentacles. And then it's some things. Remember, I was talking about how the ancestors rather, are very much present. The people that are still here. We have the Six of Pentacles. So we go from the Five of Pentacles to the Three of Pentacles to the Six of Pentacles. And I'm mentioning the ancestors because in look at this water in this lake of fish. It's a return, right? It's those three pinnacles that we were just talking about, those things working for us. And we only see the three pinnacles, not realizing that those three pinnacles, those three things that are being worked on our behalf, also have another side that we don't see. You see the pinnacles in the water there? If you know anything about mirror magic, when you do do a spell or something in the mirror, it doubles. These pinnacles are over the water that has mirror-like qualities, doubling what you're going to get. And mind you, six is more than five. So we started out in the five of pentacles, not understanding like what's happening, then going to the three of pentacles, how these things are working for us, but doubling the blessings that we will receive with the help of our ancestors. I'm really being urged. I'm really being urged to mention. So in there is this I don't want to say call it a story, but there is a passage in the Bible that talks about how a man wanted to, I can't remember if it was to pay his taxes anyway, or to pay his tithes, if you're familiar with that terminology. And he goes fishing. He's led to go fishing, and when the man goes fishing, he finds a coin in the fish's mouth, and that coin is worth a lot of money. And I've actually heard this in another, something similar in another culture. They have that. That's what it's giving me. It's giving me that you don't you don't expect the money to come, but it's coming. You don't expect the changes to come, but it's coming. And as we're talking about where we are headed in the world, it's a lot of these things. Right now, the world is in so much, I'm not even going to say turmoil. We have been in turmoil. It's going through a change. I'm gonna really tell you how, and I don't know. I haven't really studied this, so for the ladies, help me understand. But I do know. So it's almost like when a woman's body is going through the change when she is getting ready to conceive a child. I do know that the female body changes. I just don't know how. But how I'm seeing it right now is that when the seed comes in, there's this fertilization, there's this thing. It's almost like the ovaries kind of close. I don't know if this is true. This is how it's coming to me. It's like it closes to and capture the seed, and it holds on to the seed, and it nurtures, it gives all the nutrients to the seed, right? And as the seed starts to grow, it starts to open up a little more to hold all that the seed has to offer. This is how I'm seeing these blessings. The seed has been planted, and now this change that's happening is this disruption of what we've always known. It's a disruption of the jobs, of the friendships, of the families that was familiar to us. And now it's like certain things have to be broken away. They can't be in this space because something else is growing in its place. And when something is new, it's foreign. When you don't know, I know a lot of, um I remember having conversations with friends who were pregnant, and they say, being pregnant is a new experience, right? Witnessing how my body changed, my thoughts, my what is it, the cravings, right? um Thank you. It's like they talk about the changes that their bodies have gone through. And so spiritually, what's happening in the earth is that there is this change. And so it is new to a lot of people. So a lot of people are going through a lot of new things and they're like, okay, what's happening? I never imagined myself to be in this space. Well, you never imagine it because you're in the birthing canal. You're in the, well, not the birthing canal, but you're in the birthing process. You're in the process of creating something new. And so you're going to have new experiences. You're going to have new feelings. You're going to have new cravings. You're going to have new thought. And that is, and I just heard it, and it's not provoked thought, it's natural thought, like the light bulb going off. Ah. And as you're preparing yourself to go to the 10 of Pentacles. You're preparing to get the things that you've always wanted, that you've been praying for, that you never thought would be becoming your favor. It is now happening for you. It is this. I'm going to show this again because in this 10 of Pentacles, the horse is standing alone. That means that you're not going to have a crowd of people around you when you get your 10 of Pentacles. It's just going to be you and spirit and your ancestors. And they're going to say, now my baby, now my sweet, this is your 10 of Pentacles. This is where we have been preparing you for. This is where you've been heading. Because with your 10 of Pentacles, you can now raise nations. You can now build kingdoms. You can now build that multi-million-dollar business that you want. This is the change, the birthing that you didn't know was happening, but it's happening. This is not only the underdog winning, this is the underdog succeeding. Because how many times have you seen people win a case, but then they blow the money, or something tragic ends up happening, something that they didn't see coming? No, this is the energy of, not only did I win the case, I made something positive out of it. And then we have the 7 of Wands. And then it's going to be protected. So nobody or nothing can take it away from you. Nothing or nobody can manipulate it from you. There we go. They can attempt and try, but it will always fail. It will always fail. So you have to think about these things. Think about everything I said now. Even in those political spaces, even in those form of thoughts, it can't win. Have the 6 of Swords here. I'm going to see what comes out with it first. King of Pentacles. Don't think too heavy on it. what I'm really getting is that this Six of Swords here is almost like Spirit is saying the sixth sense. Because remember, the swords is all about how you think, how you execute things, right? And the instinct of a horse, if you ever look at in a lot of animals, one of the things about a horse's instinct is always on point. It's always key. Because they let the rider know, hey, it's something up ahead. Baby, I'm not moving. You may not see the danger, but I see the danger. Horses' instincts are always key. And with it coming, or with the King of Pentacles coming out with it, your financial kingdom, your financial kingdoms, your kingdoms, your financial increases, your new jobs, whatever, wherever and however spirit is pushing you in this season, or for this upcoming season, I should say, you will be able to execute with excellency because you will have that sixth sense. You will have that knowingness of how to do things. And remember, it's not only are you getting the wisdom to do it, it's going to be protected movement. And when you have protected movement, there's nothing that anybody can do to deter you off of the road that you're meant for. I'm in a new space, and I share with my mother, and I've shared with a few friends. I said, in this space, I am not fighting the universe. I'm like, because it's been something, it's been a constant that kept showing up. But I'm like, but I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. I don't have I've never had an interest for this. Like, it's never been an interest at all. But people have told me, but you're good at that. That's what you've been doing anyway. And I'm like, I know, but not to this capacity. And some people could say it's you running from your calling. I don't know, because I've never had that urge, that urgency, that pull to be in that space. And when you don't have that pull, is like it is very similar to you asking yourself, am I doing this because of everyone else, or because it's truly something that I'm meant to do? That's how it's been for me. However, it's become the only option for me. So now I'm in this space. And then we get the Wheel of Fortune. What's for you is for you. It's going to always come in your favor. It's going to always, the wheel will always turn in your favor. So these are, like I said, wherever you're being pulled to, even in this new space, it is a part of your destiny. When the switch happens, it is a part of your destiny. When it's the thing that you're like, how am I going to make this thing happen? Destiny will provide you with the provisions that you need. And this space, I said, what am I doing? How can I do this? And every step of the way, it's like I've been reaffirmed, like, this is the space for you. What is the question? I even went to an event yesterday, um, that's for my I don't even, I'm not gonna say it's a new career, but I'll just say this new space that I'm in. And there were over, I would say probably over 250 people in this event. And we each had a card, and it was basically like a raffle ticket. And guess who won one of the prizes? And what's funny is that I was talking about the prize and I was like, huh, you know, I don't necessarily need this prize, but it would be something good to have, because it was a ring camera, indoor and outdoor ring camera. And it's like that would be something good to have. I don't necessarily need it, but it's something good to have. And as I'm talking, I'm hearing the numbers being called, and I was like, wait, wait, that's my number. That's my number that they're calling. I walked up and got my prize, and the people that were with were like, wow, like you won, like, and I was like, yeah. And this is the first time I'm in this space, and the winnings are happening. And a friend of mine looked at me and she said, "And you won?" I said, "Yes." She said, "That's a good sign right there. That's a good sign. That means you're gonna have a good year." And I'm like, wow, what? Bestie, we'll talk about this offline. We'll talk about this offline because I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. It's all new, quickly happening. Um, and that's the other thing. When and I'm glad I did have that moment right just now, because the other thing is when you're in this Five of Pentacles and it seems like the world is crashing and you in that world of insurity, and then you get into this new space, and it's the space that you never knew that you were in, and this is part of that working behind the scenes and working for your good, pushing you in the direction that you're supposed to be going into. It starts to happen for you quickly. Rapid movement, rapid intentional movement. Doors start to swing open. People will begin to pour into you. And it's like, wait, what's happening? In what space? For me? And it doesn't matter the historical context of it all, because what's for you is for you. I'm only mentioning this because there's been a lot of talk about indigenous folk getting their land back. And I know of a group that has gotten their land back. They worked on it, governmental approval, stamp of approval. I will say beware of the devil, because whenever you start to get your winnings, the devil will show its head. So you have to be mindful and be aware of your spaces. Connect, learn, but don't be naive. The devil with the Four of Swords is here. Don't let people put you in this heartbreak energy. Be watchful. And for some of you, is this isn't like a warning, it's more so of a preaching to the choir, as they say, as the term implies. You know that, okay, I'm in this new space. I got to be watchful. I'm not going to be naive, because that devil like energy will try to control, that heart space, will try to create doubt or fear so that you become fearful and that you're not your best self. So, in this new space, you will give up what has been destined for you. So that in this new space, you will stop creating, that you will abort the child that is being grown. As I'm talking about the child is being grown, guess what comes out? The high priestess. The high priestess, baby, she's going to protect her child. She's going to protect what has been given. She's going to use her intuition to see past the smoke, the cloud. The high priestess knows when the devil is present. She's not a novice. She knows when the devil is present. She knows when the devil will show its head. The sun. The high priestess is always going to be working in the sun with the sun. The devil energy don't want you to reach that sun energy. That sun energy is everything. And then on top of that, like, let's be mindful. You already have, or we already have the 10 of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune, meaning that it's meant for us anyway. And then with the 7 of Wands here, it's protected energy for us to continue to move. But we have to be mindful of that energy that tries to take it away. Okay, this is when it comes out anyway. 5 of Wands is here. Yeah. I was literally trying to put this card back into the, because it kept flipping out, and I'm like, I'm not ready to pull cards, and it literally flipped out in my hand. 5 of Wands is here. So yes, there will be many things that will try to fight you for your destiny. There are many things that's happening in the world that will fight against the grain, but you have to continue to walk even through. I wish it's the visual that I have right now is a sandstorm, and it's like, even though it's a sandstorm, you have to keep walking forward, because even when you continue to walk forward, know that that sandstorm rather, excuse me, has to stop. It has a stopping point. It has a stopping point. And when things are fighting you this hard, that's when you know that you're in the right space. Now, if you're being pushed out of, if everything is good now, but then you're in a storm, that's your 5 of Pentacles era, because that means that spirit is pushing you out of that space into a new space. And that's if you have not taken the leap yet. That's if you have not already left that space. If you've been out of your norm for a while and it's been a struggle and you're on the rise again, then this is the 5 of Wands. Beware of the things that try to deter you from that new space that you're in. It may seem hard, but the appearance of the seeming may not be the reality. It may seem like it's going to be a struggle for you to do these things, but when you start to do them, you realize that that seemingness is nothing. 2 of Pentacles. Make that decision on how you're going to walk. forward? Are you going to walk in fear and doubt? Or are you going to work with certainty that this new road is for you? Do you want scarce money or do you want a flow of money? Because when you walk in fear in that new space, it's going to drip you money. It's going to be good money, but it's going to drip. But when you walk with that assuredness, with that surety, the flow is a lot different. Because it's, oh, this person is in there. They know what they want. They have the vision for what they want. And I'm going to give it to them. And that's how spirit is operating with us. So where we're going is where are we heading? Where are we going? We're heading into this place where we can, for the first time, walk in a space authentically and assured that it is meant for us. Assured that it was created for us. Assured that it is a destiny walk. And when we walk in assurance, we understand that it's going to be a new flow for us. It may be different at first, but when you get into the flow, that flow of things will work for us in a way that we never imagined. It will work for us in a way like a new career, basically. And I'm laughing because somebody asked me this yesterday, is this a new career for you? Is this? And I said, I honestly don't know how to answer that because I don't know. I just know that I'm in this space for now. It is a space that spirit has me in, that I was pushed into. I like to jokingly say bullied into. But there's a lot of things that I've been bullied into via the spiritual side. But here I am, and each time I've been thriving. I must add. So whatever that new space is for you, the space you never thought you would see yourself in, the space that people keep saying that you should go into, and you keep saying, no, that's not for me. That's the space you're more than likely called into. And when you're called into a space, it works a lot different than when you are jumping into a space that you know that you're not going to like. It's that equivalency of when people say, I really don't want to be a nurse, but I'm going to go to nursing school and become a nurse anyway because it's good money. That's not the reason why you should do it. You should not do it because of the money. But when you've been called into a space and it's like, okay, you want me to do what? There's no money in that space. Oh, but it will be for you because you've been called into that space. You don't know how those tables are going to turn for you. Remember, we got that Wheel of Fortune. That means that you were created to be in that space. So what is not a financial gain for others in that space will be a financial gain for you in that space. What will not be a learning opportunity for others in that space will be a learning opportunity for you in that space. Where others didn't grow, you will. Where others had the mind to reach a certain level in that space, they couldn't because they weren't called. But for the person that was called, you will reach that level in that space. Whether you go in that space kicking and fighting or easily walking into that space, you will find yourself in that space and you will excel in that space. So that's what I have for the collective today. I know at times it was kind of shoddy, but that's how it works and operates in this space. It's never perfect. It gives you things to be doubtful of until you take the walk in towards it. I was about to say into it. But when you take the walk towards it, you start to see things that you never saw before. You start to experience things that you never experienced before. So please like this video. If this video has touched you, share this video. If you feel like this needs to be, I see 111 right now, 1111. If you feel like this needs to be shared with someone, save the video if you need to listen to it again. And I will ask to stay connected because we all are in this together. And this connection is strong. If you did not know, I do have an Instagram. It is under the same name, healing_room_tarot. You can find me there. I do postings. I am getting a lot better. And I'm doing a lot more messaging from spirit as I've been unctioned to. I don't try to get on just to get on. I have to, there's sometimes I have to be unctioned, and then there's other times spirit is like, okay, I need you to say this real quick. Okay. And I do it. But I thank you all for joining. Please come back next weekend for another Cards and Conversation at 11:11 a.m. All right. Peace.